For X Select today, we're going to discuss the wall ball, more so around proper execution of it in design and strategy, a little bit on the technique and whatnot. I'm going to speak more so to you making the assumption you're following proper protocol for prescription from assessment into the wall ball. But I want to think of a couple different things. Think about actual dose response of the wall ball. I'll actually do a couple repetitions in case no one has seen a wall ball before. This is actually a 50-pound ball right here. Just watch how easily I do this thing. One day you might too be as fit as me. My points I wanted to make on the wall ball was more around understanding the kinds of contractions that are happening when we do it. Because the wall ball has been placed into a category of a squatting maneuver, but it really is a very dynamic contraction. So that should make you think about, well, what are the precautions, what are the things I need to think about before I want to program it in design? And I'll be pretty quick on the progressions of that. So first and foremost, before we get into a double leg movement, there's a couple of things that I want you to think about, and you could see it as a coach too if it's live time and assessment. Watch the person from behind and looking from right to left shifts, and then watch their feet as they go through a bunch of repetitions. That into itself can be an indirect assessment to look at bilateral issues or hip shifts or maybe even some core stuff that you can preempt prior to them doing the wall ball. You also want to look from behind in terms of how their scap rotates and moves with their arms equally from right to left. So that's an indirect assessment to look at those same things we may see also with a scratch, a core test, single leg split stance, etc. So those three things we want to preempt, they have to have in place. To put it in simple terms, I'd really like them to have great core endurance and excellent right to left balance before you actually get into implementation of wall balls. Let's say now we're moving ahead and we are going to implement that. Then you want to progress the wall ball in an element all by itself, meaning that you've presumed that they have right to left balance. You want to place this in the category of a speed strength activity. Okay, not a strength speed activity, meaning like clean and jerk, snatch, high load, and not an absolute strength activity like a squat. It's a speed strength activity. So if you feel that they don't have adequate motor control, adequate absolute strength, can't express force, then I do want you to really rethink around why you're doing wall balls. Just because it exists doesn't mean people need to do it. Because it is a dynamic contraction, okay? So if you plan on practicing it though, right? We have the preemptive right to left side stuff taken care of, shoulders, core, etc. Absolute strength, they can express strength speed. We're now doing wall balls. Do it by itself. So put it in the program design, possibly on a squatting day, where you can put this on the back end of it and put it all by itself, meaning that people can do it as a skill, they take a break, and then they do it again. In order to progress from that, you just want to do it in volume. Now, the volume and repetitions of the wall ball is largely based upon the functional capacity of the person. So if Lisa is just doing wall balls because she likes fitness, then obviously there's a functional requirement for her to leave, be able to do rest for life, and not have a problem with the wall balls. Someone wants to participate in CrossFit, you probably need to do 100 to 150, 200 in a session under fatigue mechanisms and have it locked and loaded. So you got to see how far away you are from that. Back to Lisa's point, if Lisa's just trying to get good for the rest of her life, I would argue that the repetitions could be in the 30 to 50 range that are enough to get a good dose response of just effective double leg movement in the speed strength category. So you've done it by itself. Now you're going to add a little bit of breathing to it. So maybe Lisa does a little bit of a flywheel bike, then comes over and does a couple of repetitions of the wall ball again. She builds volume up on that. The progression from that is she's going to do a movement that complements it. That could be an upper body pulling exercise. So maybe she does some ring rows or pull-ups or some kind of rowing activity and then comes and does wall balls right afterwards. Then she's going to do an activity that makes it more challenging that doesn't complement it. So maybe she does double unders or box jump step down and then she does wall balls. You can see what I'm doing there is I'm just creating this progression of where the wall balls fit in, and I'm really going to stop when, for Lisa, the way we describe Lisa for doing it for fitness, she only needs to do the wall balls just to get some different kinds of contractions, okay? Yeah, so what I wanted to discuss on it, just to be brief on it, that's it for wall balls, but was an indirect assessment of tracking people from behind or watching their feet or watching their arms as they extend overhead. Changes in position should be obvious. We do want, knee tracking that's equal on both sides. I'm not too concerned about changes in pelvic position based upon the loading of it, because remember, if people are doing wall balls, and there is a specific kind of form or technique that's required for it, I would assume they have motor control, great squat mechanics, and can express force before they get to this point in time. So I'm going to presume that they're capable of getting there. I think what may hold up a lot of coaches at this point is that you're probably recognizing a lot of people probably shouldn't be getting wall balls in the context that they are. And I would say if those people are there, they don't have adequate strength, great expression of force, and they're doing let's call it a pelvic tilt, lumbar flexed spine, 100 wall balls in a workout, that's a problem, because they don't have the base support required in order to get outside of that buffer zone. But someone has the strength, the flexibility, and they're into a slightly off position for a bunch of reps, that may not cause too much of a confusion to the system. I hope that made sense. So just adequately put the wall ball in place based upon that, the indirect assessment, and then the progressions, and you should be good to go. That was the wall ball in a different form. Hopefully you can practice some more implementation of the wall ball in pieces and give us some feedback as to how you can implement it, or ask some questions below, and I'll get back to you on how you can upgrade your wall ball prescriptions.